All right, Molo Sanbonani, hello, how's it? Welcome to the Big Daddy Liberty Show. This, the four-part special on the channel, the What South Africa Can Be tour. This is round two of the tour. This time we're talking to you, trying to get a sense of, do you feel like the country is on the right track? Seeing that we've had a few changes. What changes are you talking about, Big Daddy? Well, of course, in government. We now have a government of national unity. And I asked you in the first episode, is that the beginning of a better South Africa? Can we, as ordinary citizens, prompt the sort of reforms and policy change that will serve all South Africans in a non-racial way? Can we actually finally see, can South Africa be a prosperous, free, property-owning and non-racial society? That's the question I'm going to pose to you on the streets of South Africa on this, the What South Africa Can Be tour. Now, let me just quickly say this. This, of course, campaign is in conjunction with the Institute of Race Relations. Thank you to our partners over there. And indeed, this is part of the conversation we need to now have. What do you want to see this GNU achieve? And more than just the GNU, what should we as South Africans be doing to ensure that we get a South Africa that can be? Join me. We're currently in Soweto. Let's get the conversation going. Ma, we're bothering you here. I know you're waiting for a taxi to go home, but I think there's a conversation I want to have that's super important. There's this new government of national unity, What changes would you like to see happen in the country? Firstly, do you have hope now that there's this new government?
I do. I do have hope because at least they have changed. I'm ministers, and then there's a lot of change in the government lately. But in the thing that I would firstly like to do, or would see a change in the whole of South Africa, is corruption.
Yes.
Corruption must change, and they must add more education. Education is the key to success. And then by failure somehow, because they sometimes niggas a certain percentage like is NSFAS to abantwana, and then end up abanye abantwana they not getting it. And then remember, we come from different household, and then so abanye abazali they can, others they don't. So I think they should emphasize on adding more amount imali to education.
Maybe as a final question, because this series is called the What South Africa Can Be series. So what would your perfect South Africa look like?
I'm not sure, but look like America. I think I've never been to America, but I can see Guma televisions and stuff. But Ibe clean, man, it must be a lovely place where people can be like comfortable, because there's a lot of crime. Crime can change maybe if I think if my young people can get jobs, and then because you remember still ama diplomas and ama degrees endlini, but we don't get jobs. We went to school from grade 1 till grade 12 thinking good, after my center school I will maybe go to work or maybe do something to further my studies, but you end up you do further your studies but not finding any job. So I think they can change on that, good, at least. And then the age limit government kakhulu, they take from 18 to 35, yet there are people abana over 35 who are able and are strong to go and work.
Absolutely.
I think they can add age up until maybe 45, not 35.
Ma'am, I'm going to steal one more question. I know that I said the last one was low. There's a debate I think we should have as South Africans about race. Do you think we should continue using race as a way of picking winners and losers? Or should we actually say, no, if we're going to have an empowerment policy, let's rather focus on empowering poor people, whether they're black or white. If you're poor, you should be first in the queue to get empowerment. What do you think?
No, I don't think so. Because it doesn't matter whether you are black or white. We are all the same. Whether I'm poor or I'm not poor, it's one and the same thing. Yeah.
Ma'am, thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
Okay. Just for my side, it's just improving the work. There's a lot of problem. The load shedding, it's costing the how can I say the less economy, yes, and the what you call again because I'm from Mozambique, and then I do have passport.
Mhm.
But our government and Mozambique government and South African government is only giving 1 month to the people to stay here. And every month we used to go home when it's not okay for us. And then we don't know, we don't have another place to work. On what we know is just to come here in South Africa to survive. And there's a other thing, there's a police. The government, the police, when catch us, they are giving a bail, 2,000, 2.5, and then you can say that you go out. Then he catch you again, same thing. But for me, it's just like, I don't understand what's that.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Okay.
So, as someone from Mozambique
Okay.
and you're here, do you think we should make it easier for people from other countries to come here to work legally?
Yes, that's perfect. But to be legal, my government, I will talk about my government, Mozambique and South Africa. They must agree something because it's Zimbabwe. They are giving them 3 months visa, 3 months. But Mozambique, in South Africa, they got agreement for only 1 month. That is it's very bad. And every day, people, my friends, even now, I must go to court to bail somebody else who was bailed last month for 2.5. But for myself, I don't understand what's that. Like I'm feeling so yeah, so painful.
Sir, thank you for your time. I appreciate that. Maybe as we just quickly do a quick note here, I think the point he's raising is a good one. Insofar as I know a lot of South Africans are not keen on illegal foreigners, but at the end of the day, they're illegal because maybe the system doesn't make it easier for them to come here legally. Maybe that's a conversation we can have about what South Africa can be. Let's make it easier for people to come here legally to either work or stay or whatever the case may be. Unpopular opinion, but it's how you fix the issue.
We all know that for the problem of jobs,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
crime, maybe they'll solve this problem of corruption. Maybe they will come up with another solution.
Absolutely. Baba, I can see you're a slightly older man. I'm sure you have a family, people you care about deeply, and the future of this country, therefore. What can South Africa be for you? What is the ideal South Africa?
No, for now, let's give them a chance to see what will happen. Let's give them a chance.
Okay. Baba, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Finally mina bengathanda ukuthi kube noshintsho through cause mina ngumuntu wala community Middlelands yabo. So okuningi mina ngibona into negative la society ni through cause youth yala mina election la ngihlala khona like majority sebenzisa ama drugs yabo. Iyo mina into bengathanda ukuthi like i-government yethu mhlambe bengazama ukuthi like isenzele i-difference cause like ama drugs maningi elokishini yabo. And not to say in Middlelands, it's South Africa as a whole. So iyo mina into bengayithanda leyo. Secondly futhi bengathanda ukuthi kushithi government wethu akayenze ukuthi like kube ngcono for ama citizens awala eKasi yabo. Cause now njengoba ubona like majority abantu eSouth Africa basebenza. So bengathanda ukuthi kube noshintsho lapho.
My brother, I think the main point of the show is to ask about what can South Africa be? Leo perfect South Africa. If I were to ask you to paint a picture, South Africa, injani for when?
South Africa mina ngifuna ukuyibona njengoba ngimentionile like previously manje yabo. Kushuthi mina ngibona ukuthi kungaba different like if majority of the people bangathola ikili because kahle abantu abachashwa because of like isileka ikili uyabo asichasheki like majority uyabo like abantu bano abelungu abamanje ngathini like bazokubuza ukuthi ungakhona ukuyenzana and into esilekhayo le and meaning masingalungisa lapho ne mina ngibona ukuthi like kungaba nencubekelo phambili because of mhlambe namanye ama idea angaba khona like abantu bangakhona ukuimplementa nama ideas amasha then siyele phambili kube ngcono for wonke umuntu ophila eSouth Africa.
No baba ngiyavuma now. Ngiyabonga kakhulu. Thanks bros.
My perception of actually how I feel myself as an individual, there's going to be a little bit slight decrease on some shenanigans that have been taking place for quite some time, because somebody's going to be watching, because our guys, they were just having a good time, So the shenanigans going to just go down. And another thing that I'm hoping for, well, actually everybody's talking about like job creations and stuff like that and whatever. And the issue of crime, there's too much crime in this country.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's too much crime. I mean, the last time I was in Joburg, I think it was about 6-7 years ago. Just to walk in town, I cannot. I'm not being, xenophobic or something, but some of the guys that enter this country illegally. And if you come here with good aims, with the papers, and then you. But now if you come here and then just got to be some order of some kind.
I hear you.
Yeah, and the future. And right for instance, now we got another problem, drug problem. Drug problem. And the kids, the generation is just getting finished. I'll be honest with you. If we ever were to we need to be free, not in the sense of being free to do anything wrong, but motivational. Future, especially for the young generation. Because I'm an old man, but I so wish that everybody could live in peace, harmony. Because I believe in one thing. I don't believe in terms of black, white. I believe in human race.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Human race. If ever we can just treat one another with due respect. You know what I mean? Irrespective of the pigmentation of your skin, and that's not a problem.
Fully agree.
Because God knew what he was doing. When he created black, yellow, he knew what he was doing.
Right.
Because we got one thing that's unique. If you look at a normal human being, we all got 2 ears to listen and 1 mouth to speak.
Absolutely.
Get my point?
I like that.
And God knew what he was doing. So and then someone else comes in, so no, you are like this, and no, it doesn't work that way. Let's just be human. And then but our country, this is a beautiful country. South Africa, very beautiful country.
Absolutely, Bob. And maybe as I ask a final question, I'm listening to you speak, I'm hearing the passion.
Yes.
And my question is really this. Let me phrase it right.
Yeah, right, okay.
Let's say someone like me were to go into government. Ne?
Right.
What would be the top 3 things you would send me to go and address?
The point is, you represent. I was going to send you, because now you live with us. You know what's going on, right? You represent aspirations of the people. See that whatever you've made a promise to, or the people that are asking for, I don't say it will be done overnight, but be as human as we are, that see that we achieve that goal. I'm not no rush, you know what I mean? But hence I say, you live with people, you see what's going on here. I'm not going to tell you what to do, you know what I mean? This is this and this and this, and it's quite a lot of things that but hence I say, if you are to honor that, just be men of, show some passion, for your people, and then that will be fine with me. It's quite a lot of things. I cannot, but that's my sentiments at the moment as we speak. Yeah.
Absolutely, Baba. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Firstly, if you can check education yalapha eMzansi. Education yalapha is not make sure you check system yakhona. And then enothetha ngayo unemployment. Yes, rate yakhona is too high. Yeah, but what else? Sininzi enye no mention fraud. Yeah.
But maybe as a final question, because I hear Ama points Arco, and I must say, fortunately or unfortunately, you echo Ama sentiments of lots of young people. Let's say I were to go into government and if you were to talk to me or to talk to government, what would you say I must focus on? What would you like to see change? What must this country be if you were to have that power, wena, or me?
Into nokhuluma no government first of all, and not mhlambe makayijonge it's kakhulu. Indlela like South Africa ngayo uyayibona ukuthi yebo azama uveza i-opportunities zemisebenzi yabo nalento yesikolo man like ayizama uyichinja i-system yakhona because ayisebenzi. What else? Yeah man, azame nje ukuthi country yabo.
Final question. I know I said final earlier, but there's something you're saying important.
Yeah.
You personally, Shia, I'm bigger issues, but you personally, do you have hope for the future?
Me personally. sikhuluma government or
No, when?
Mina.
Do you have
Yeah.
hope in your future?
yeah, I do, I do,
No,
bro.
I like that. At least in a positive ending. Yeah, I was getting so worried. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, bro.
Sure. I think that was an important engagement because that's a young chap, and one has to get a strong sense of, do they really feel like the country is heading in any good direction? Leave aside my question around the government of national unity and placing the responsibility on them solely, but as individuals, do they feel like there's actually hope? That question is super important, and it's at the heart of this entire campaign. And I'm going to give you a sense of why we're running this campaign by speaking to the CEO of the Institute of Race Relations, John Endres. We're going to try and catch him somewhere so we can give him a sense of why this What South Africa Can Be campaign was this important. Stay tuned. I got my opportunity to catch up with John Endres, who is the CEO of the Institute of Race Relations. And indeed, the What South Africa Can Be campaign is their brainchild, something that we here on the channel support. But I thought it would be important for you to hear from them and also the rationale behind this campaign of how we can build a South Africa that we want. Now, John, we've been traversing Soweto this morning. We're beginning our campaign of what South Africa can be. Of course, the genesis of it all is with you guys, the Institute of Race Relations. Why was this campaign important, and why rope us in as the Big Daddy Liberty Project?
Well, I'd say that for us, what has been really on the back, in the back of our minds is how South Africa can be made a place which is better for all the people that live in it. And that has been the mission of the IRR since 1929 when it was founded. Really, the reasoning was that we wanted more people to be able to see progress in their own lives and to have more choices in how they live their own lives. And what the slogan, What SA Can Be, encapsulates is the idea that we should be thinking about how to make that real. What does it look like if we ask various South Africans what they think South Africa can be? From our perspective, the most important thing that needs to change in South Africa at the moment is economic growth. So at the moment, the economy has been very flat for the past 15 years or so. People have not seen their incomes rising, and many people are without jobs. And if we want to change that, then really the most important thing we need to achieve is for that growth rate to start lifting. One of the things we point out here is a number which we think is the most important number in South Africa, called the gross capital formation rate, which is at 15% of GDP at the moment. It should be at 30% according to the National Development Plan, and the global average is 26%. What this number expresses is how much money gets spent on investing into factories and infrastructure and roads and rail, all the concrete and glass heavy investments that a country needs in order for the economy to grow and for products and people to be able to move around easily. So we need to see that gross fixed capital formation rate increasing towards 26 and maybe even 30%. If that happens, we're going to see growth taking off, more jobs being created, and incomes rising throughout South Africa as well. And that really will give us the opportunity to see what SA can be as South Africans see their living standards improve, more people have got jobs, and they've got more choices because they have more disposable income at their disposal.
You know, John, even as you're saying this, a lot of the points you're making are expressed by some of the people we've already spoken to on the ground. The top three issues we've heard so far, insofar as how people in Soweto, for example, have conceptualized what South Africa should be, is exactly that: job creation. There is a massive complaint by people around a need to get the economy humming so that people can start working again. One chap even spoke about the need to, if you're going to make an investment into the country, an investment into skills. There's an adept awareness on the need for that. And the last area that people spoke of, amongst others, was crime. People brought up the issue that, you know, drugs and crime are a massive issue in preventing even local investment into things. This is clearly a massive theme. And here's the kicker, and I want you to speak to this. Of the people we spoke to, and arguably being in Soweto, you know, the left would argue that that's their constituency, you know, they speak for those people. No one, though, spoke the usual tropes of the left, of things like expropriation or more race-based legislation. In fact, we asked around that, and people said, no, we prefer a non-racial approach to things, that black and white doesn't matter, as one man said. We'll probably run that little clip just to make that point even more salient. John, we've always argued that this is the sensible middle that we often speak about, and often they're not represented by the politics. Now, As I taper towards the question, and you'll forgive me for being long-winded, the GNU perhaps offers a tentative first step in that direction, but we citizens have to be the loudest voice in the room in advocating for a reform agenda, a policy agenda that helps us create that South Africa we want. And no, really, how can we as liberals actually do the work of advocating for the ideas that create a property-owning, prosperous, free, and indeed non-racial South Africa?
Okay, so what we really need is to see the gross fixed capital formation rate rising. And for that, I would say we need three things. And the first one is that we need to protect property rights. That's a really basic thing. And previous administrations in South Africa have undermined property rights through initiatives like expropriation without compensation, like prescribed assets, like the NHI. So the first thing that we need to do as a country is to move away from those policies that undermine property rights and give ironclad guarantees to investors that their property is safe in South Africa. Then investors will come. The second thing that we need to look at is crime. And so you mentioned that people that you spoke to raised that as an issue as well. And this is another form of expropriation without compensation, of course. So instead of the state doing it under EWC, it's criminals doing it under crime simply. So we need to get a hold of crime in order to increase the investment rate, which will again support economic growth. And the third thing we need to do is to raise productivity. In other words, each person in South Africa needs to be in a position where they can make a contribution to the company they're working for or their own family if they're working for themselves. And the best way to do that is for people to acquire skills and education and training, because then there's a lot more value that they can offer to an employer, and that's going to help with job creation. This is very much what we're engaged in at the Institute of Race Relations. All of our campaigns are focused on generating economic growth and on describing and pushing for the policies that will allow that growth to happen. So if you're interested, then please follow us on irr.org.za on our channels. You'll see lots of proposals on what can be done better in order to get that growth rate up and to get jobs being created in South Africa.
All right, that wraps up the first episode of us being out on the streets in this four-part series on what South Africa can be. You heard it from ordinary South Africans. The intent, the purpose of this campaign is to speak to ordinary South Africans and ask two intertwined questions. One, what can South Africa be? Two, of that, is the GNU, for example, a first step in that direction? And beyond the GNU, what do ordinary South Africans say that they want? This is a campaign that speaks to our patriotism as South Africans, asking the questions of how do we build a free, prosperous, non-racial and property-owning South Africa? What are the issues that must be tackled, therefore, to achieve that South Africa? We'll keep the conversation going in other parts of Gauteng. We'll head over to Pretoria and inner city Johannesburg to talk to you, the ordinary South African. Let me just do some quick housekeeping here and thank the Institute of Race Relations for joining me in this campaign. To be brutally honest with you, I am listening to you, South Africans, both as an individual and as Big Daddy Liberty. It will be your voices that determine what we, here, I, do next in terms of this brand and my life, to be honest. So with that being said, enough with the waffle. A reminder to you, please, to follow the Institute of Race Relations on all of their social media, and make sure you follow the Daily Friend. That's their publication at www.dailyfriend.co.za. And hey, follow us here on the Big Daddy Liberty channel on all of our social media channels. And of course, follow the campaign. And if you want to get your comment out, maybe you want to have a say around what South Africa can be, use the hashtag #WhatSACanBe. Now, keep tuned, keep watching. This is the What South Africa Can Be tour.